Tracy Nelson, the real reason she wants it to end. Tracy Nelson, the name alone carries the weight of Hollywood royalty. Daughter of rock legend Ricky Nelson, granddaughter of television icons Ozzie and Harriet, star of beloved shows like Father Dowling Mysteries and Square Pegs. But recently, Tracy shocked fans with a startling revelation. She wants it to end. Not her career, not her life, but something much deeper. Something that has defined her for decades. Today, we're uncovering the real reason behind Tracy Nelson's powerful statement, and why her words might be the most honest thing any Hollywood legacy has ever said. To understand Tracy's revelation, we need to go back to where it all began. October 25th, 1963, Santa Monica, California. Tracy Kristin Nelson was born into what seemed like a fairy tale. Her father, Ricky Nelson, was one of the biggest rock and roll stars in America. Her mother, Kristin Harmon, was a talented actress. And her grandparents, Ozzie and Harriet Nelson, were household names whose television shows shaped an entire generation's view of the perfect American family. Music shifts, nostalgic, 1950s/60s tone. But here's what most people don't realize about being born into fame. You inherit more than just a name. You inherit expectations, comparisons, and the constant pressure to live up to a legacy you had no part in creating. Tracy's first film appearance came when she was just a child, playing one of Henry Fonda's daughters in the 1968 comedy Yours, Mine and Ours with Lucille Ball. Even then, the pattern was set. She wasn't just Tracy, she was Tracy Nelson, daughter of Ricky, granddaughter of Ozzie and Harriet. But Tracy had talent of her own, real talent. She studied acting at Bard College in New York, honing her craft with discipline and dedication. Her breakthrough came in the 1980s with the NBC series Square Pegs, where she starred alongside a young Sarah Jessica Parker. Her portrayal of the stylish Jennifer DiNuccio showed America that Tracy Nelson wasn't just riding on her family name. Then came the role that would define her career. Sister Stephanie Steve Osowski in The Father Dowling Mysteries. For 3 years, from 1989 to 1991, Tracy charmed audiences as the spirited, intelligent nun detective alongside Tom Bosley. She was funny, compassionate, and utterly believable. She had made it on her own terms. Or had she? Because even as Tracy's career flourished, every interview, every profile, every headline started the same way. Daughter of Ricky Nelson. Part of the famous Nelson family. Continuing the Nelson legacy. Tracy herself would later reflect. When you grow up in a famous family, you inherit more than just the name. You inherit the pressure to live up to it. But Tracy's story isn't just about fame and legacy. It's about survival. Real survival. In 1987, tragedy struck. Tracy's father, Ricky Nelson, was killed in a plane crash. She was just 23 years old. The loss was devastating. The man who had been both her father and the source of so much public attention was gone. Tracy and her siblings were left to grieve under the harsh spotlight of media scrutiny. She channeled her grief into her work, determined to carry on with integrity and heart. But life wasn't done testing her. In 1989, at just 25 years old, with her career thriving and her role on Father Dowling Mysteries making her a household name, Tracy received devastating news. She had been diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Cancer. At 25, Tracy endured grueling rounds of chemotherapy and radiation. The physical toll was immense, the emotional weight, unimaginable. Here she was, a young woman at the peak of her career, suddenly fighting for her life. But Tracy Nelson did something remarkable. Instead of hiding, she spoke out. She became a voice for cancer awareness and advocacy. She talked openly about her battle, about the importance of early detection, about faith and self-care. She demystified illness in an industry that often pretended it didn't exist. And she survived. Tracy recovered and returned to work. She appeared in countless TV movies for Lifetime and Hallmark. She guest starred on Melrose Place, The Nanny, and Seinfeld. She even took to the Broadway stage in 1995, starring as Rizzo in Grease. Combining her acting and singing talents in a powerful performance, she worked on Aaron Spelling's drama Glitter. She joined the cast of the TV adaptation of A League of Their Own. She ventured to Australia for The Man from Snowy River. She built an impressive filmography with more than 20 television movies, including The Perfect Nanny, The Fight for Jessie, and The Rival. Tracy Nelson was busy. Tracy Nelson was successful. Tracy Nelson was still being defined by everyone else. In later years, she faced additional health struggles, including breast cancer. Each battle revealed her indomitable spirit. Each victory made her stronger. But they also gave her something else: clarity. As Tracy would later say, when you've been close to losing everything, you start to see what really matters. And what matters isn't what the world says about you. It's what you say about yourself. Which brings us to the moment that shocked fans everywhere. In a recent, deeply candid conversation, Tracy Nelson opened up about something unexpected. She said she wants it to end. When those words first hit the internet, fans panicked. Was she retiring? Was she ill again? Was something terribly wrong? But no. Tracy's revelation was about something deeper, more profound, and ultimately more liberating than anyone expected. Tracy explained, "There comes a time when you realize that holding on to something that once defined you can start to limit who you can become next." She wasn't talking about ending her career or her life. She was talking about ending the public's unrelenting attachment to her past, to the image of the Nelson girl, forever tied to her family's legacy and her early acting successes. "People don't always realize that while I'm proud of where I come from, I've also been trying to evolve," she said. But every interview, every headline, every question seems to go back to the same stories. Think about that for a moment. Imagine being in your 60s, having lived an entire life filled with achievements, struggles, victories, and transformations, and still being asked about your grandfather's TV show from the 1950s. Still being defined by your father's music career. Still being treated as if your greatest accomplishment was being born into the right family. Tracy's frustration didn't come from resentment. It came from a yearning for growth, a desire to be seen for who she is now, not who she was then. "It sometimes feels like no matter what I do, I'm still playing a role in someone else's story," she admitted. And that's the heart of it, isn't it? Tracy Nelson has been playing a role her entire life. Not on screen, but in real life. The role of Ricky Nelson's daughter. The role of Hollywood legacy. The role of the actress who survived cancer. The role of the Nelson family torchbearer. But what about just Tracy? Her words carry special weight because of everything she's been through. The loss of her father. Her battles with cancer. Her divorce from actor William R. Moses in 1997 after 10 years of marriage. Being a mother to her daughter, Remington Elizabeth. Each experience taught her something about authenticity, about the difference between the life you're expected to live and the life you choose to live. "I want to wake up one morning and not feel like I owe the world another explanation," Tracy said. "I just want to be able to live, to create new things without dragging all that history behind me. That's not bitterness. That's not ingratitude. That's freedom." Tracy made it clear that she isn't turning her back on her legacy. She's redefining it. "I'll always love my family, and I'll always honor my father's music and my mother's strength," she said. "But I've learned that honoring the past doesn't mean living in it." In Hollywood, where nostalgia reigns supreme and former stars are constantly asked to relive their glory days, Tracy's wish to let go of her old image is both brave and rare. She knows that endings are necessary for new beginnings. Endings aren't sad when you know they're making space for something better, she reflected. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say, "That's enough," and walk forward. So what Tracy Nelson really wants to end isn't her story. It's other people's version of her story. She's done being defined by her family name, her past roles, and the tragedies that shaped her. She's ready to be defined by her own terms, by the woman she's become through decades of growth, survival, and self-discovery. "I've lived so many versions of my life," she said with a calm smile. "But now I just want to live the real one." And isn't that what we all want, ultimately? To be seen for who we really are, not who people expect us to be. To shed the weight of others' expectations and finally, fully, be ourselves. Tracy Nelson's revelation is less about loss and more about liberation. After years of being labeled, compared, and questioned, she's reclaiming her story on her own terms. She's choosing to end one chapter so another can truly begin. One free from the shadows of expectation and filled with the light of possibility. Her honesty reveals a woman who understands that every ending, when embraced with courage, becomes the doorway to a more authentic existence. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say goodbye to who you used to be, so you can finally say hello to who you've always wanted to become. Tracy Nelson is doing just that, and we should all be cheering her on.